Some performance triggers are meant to get you going, while others are meant to stop you dead in your tracks. Not all triggers that are meant to get you going are for your best interest, while others that are meant to stop you dead in your tracks, they're not always bad. Which triggers are going to help you get to your goal faster, and which ones are just bullets you have to dodge? Let's find out. The point is, triggers are meant to do something very specific to either get us to go or to stop. And today we're going to figure out which ones are you being baited for and which ones are going to help you get to your goal faster. For triggers that are meant to get us going on something negative, those are maybe people or events or things that they're just meant to get at us. Those triggers get our goat. And hey, sometimes we fall for it. Sometimes we fall for it over and over and over again. Those kinds of triggers are going to keep us from obtaining our goal. Let's say that you're in a car with your family and you are just getting ready to embark on a beautiful scenic trip, right? Where this road trip is going to be just so amazing, and yet you're not even halfway there yet, and one of your kids in the back is going to the other one, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. And what is that signal, right? Such a negative thing for not only for you, but for the child that's not being touched, and maybe your spouse who's in the other seat. Everything just gets disrupted, and not for the better, because, you know, as we know what happens if anybody has seen Vacation, the movie.
Audrey, when they close the road, they put up big signs like this one. Ah!
Can go off the road. Oh yeah, definitely don't want that. Now, one thing that is really big on triggers are holidays. You get your family reunions, doesn't matter which holiday it is. Maybe you've got people who haven't seen you in a while, and they just want to let you know their entire 2 cents worth when they come to see you and say whatever it is that is going to cause that trigger. You already know, because if you feel your neck muscles just tensing up right now, then you know exactly what I'm talking about here. People who come up and say things are just by their own presence, by their own being of what they stand for. Maybe they're looking down at you, maybe it's something else, but whatever it is, they've got that trigger just right there, and that trigger is gonna just eat you alive until you do something about it, which you gotta stay till the end to figure out what you're gonna do for that. Now, sometimes triggers are meant to start something positive, right? Just like we saw at the beginning of the video, where the starter's pistol goes off and you see all these high-class runners, these Olympic runners, just giving it their all. And what started it was the sound of the pistol. They are trained for that. They are trained to go. As soon as they hear it, bam, they are off. For triggers like that, when it comes to performance, maybe it's a trigger that is a word, so that you can let your family know, or maybe you are letting your staff know, you know what, it's time to kick things up a notch. It's time to put things into that next gear. And maybe it's a deadline that's coming up. Maybe that's what you're going to use. Or what you might want to use is, you know, make sure, one, that it's something positive, right? Because when everybody is geared up for something positive, they'll have the legs to go the distance. That's huge. You want to be able to go that distance no matter what it is that you give them for that goal. And any kind of negative talk is only going to spur more cortisol, which is that anti-stress hormone. And sure, it's an adrenaline, but it's a low-grade adrenaline, very low. So when that happens, they peter out before the end is near. And all of a sudden you're left alone, and you're going at this all by yourself, because everybody else, they're done, they're finished. So always use something positive, whether it be a positive word, positive phrase, something that everybody is already geared towards. Okay, as soon as I hear this, we're off. Just like a sprinter is to a starter's pistol. Personally, what I do with people that I'm working with is I find something that they are really passionate about. And if it's a sport, then maybe I let them know, okay, now it's time for the playoffs. Here is what we're going to do. and we're going to do exactly what we need to do to play our game to get to whatever our goal is. Maybe it's a merger. Maybe it has to do with our own personal development. Whatever it is, you make sure everybody's on board. And hey, life is so much easier when you've got the team with you. Everybody understands what their job is and they focus on just doing their job. When you're having a tough time and this is just you and you're working on maybe something, it can be entrepreneurial, it could be something that has to do with your personal growth so that you can get to your next level, then what's the word or phrase that you're going to use? What's the word or phrase that you're going to use to get you rocketing to your goal during those tough times? Because we're all going to have those tough times. Whenever we have them, that pace, it's time to pick up that pace and forget the negativity and just stay focused on what that positive goal is. When you look at people like Tony Robbins, he talks about being in a peak state. So he might say something like, make your move. And when you do that right away, if you've done that enough, and you've taken his courses, you'll know that, okay, this is my time to perk up and just focus on what needs to get done. Something along those lines will help you out a lot. And make it something that is really dear to your heart. Because when you're doing that for yourself, for your children, all of a sudden things perk up and you're ready to go. You completely forget about the troubles you're having and you regain that focus on what's most important to you. If you think about it, a trigger is just the wake-up call. So maybe it's that actual alarm that you have first thing in the morning. When you have that alarm going, if it's something that is really negative, beep, 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 then you may want to change it to something that gets you up in the morning and changes that mood right away.
Thank God it's Monday. I can't wait to go to work. I can't wait to jump on a Zoom call.
When you do that, that clears the way of all that mud and sludge, so you've got clear focus on what you got to do to get to your goal faster. Now, when it comes to triggers ending, that's something completely different. Let's say that you have a trigger that is going to end something negative. My father was really brilliant with this. He got sick and tired of me as a teenager saying, I know, Dad. I know, Dad. I know, Dad. So here's what he did to end that trigger for good. I mean, this was genius. Here's what he did. As he was confronting me about something really important, and he knew that my teenage mind was just ready to say, I know. Because you know what? I was saying it, and sometimes I was saying it without even realizing, okay, what do I know? It was just a habit. Just a habit of saying, I know, I know, I know. So what did he do? Genius. Here's what he did. Before he even said what the problem was or what he wanted to talk about, he said, I know you know, but, and then he went on with his story and what he wanted to talk about. Then and there, bam, I got that message right away, like, hey, I do say this a lot. What the heck's going on? He just completely disrupted it. Took that pattern right out. I never went back to it, and I listened to him right away every single time. That was genius. So if you're a parent and you have a teenager, perfect. Go ahead and do that. If you have some maybe younger employees or just employees who think they know it all, but yet it just has become a habit for them, break that pattern. When you break that pattern, you're going to help yourself. You save a lot of time for one, but you're also going to help them out so that they break that pattern and realize, oh, I don't need to have this defense mechanism come up. It really was a genius move. Now, the last one on triggers is about ending a positive trigger. Now, why would you want to end a positive trigger? Well, sometimes when you do that, you stop the imagination going on in people's brains so that they can actually have a greater focus, greater clarity as to what it is that you're trying to tell them. Maybe it has something to do with price anchoring, right? When you price anchor, then that's going to help them because that's going to stop that imagination of, oh my gosh, I can't afford this. It's way out of my league, to, okay, well, this is what I thought it was and this is where it is. When you do that kind of stuff, that's going to not only help them out, but it's going to help your relationship as well. And the price anchoring is just one way of doing it. Now, these triggers are all around us in life. So what can we do to help us not only dodge the bullets of the people or events that cause us to get away from our goal, but also allow us to start up and go towards our goal, maybe a little bit faster. Maybe it's not us, maybe it's our people, right? Whether it be our family or our staff. Then here is what you've got to do. It's really simple. When you know that you've got people in your life and they just say certain things, then you have to figure out, what's my association with it? What are maybe some attachments to it? Does it have something to do with an event that happened with that person? Or maybe it has something to do with who they remind you of. Maybe it's a staff member, but boy, you know what? For some reason, they really remind me of my 3rd grade teacher who I really had a hard time connecting with and just had a tough year. And yet every time you see that person, that's the trigger that you have, and it's time to let that trigger go. Maybe what you've got is somebody who helps you out and they're no longer around. Maybe they were a positive, right? That starting gun, that every time you saw them, wow, I really wanted to work hard for that boss. I really wanted to work hard for that person so that not only did they have a better life, but I'm the one that gave them the better life, and I'm the one that also gave our company a better life. Or maybe it's something about your personal life. Maybe that person's no longer around. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it is a best friend, and you know that they were always there for you. Well, just because they aren't there for you now physically does not mean that that trigger has to stop. Just remember what they did for you and their purpose behind doing all these wonderful things. Their intentions, right? Those golden intentions. When you've got those kind of wonderful things going on in your mind, then those triggers don't have to go away. And you can go towards your goal with just as much vigor and effort as you did when they were with you, even though they're not physically with you right now. Keep in mind, triggers can be used to stop something, and also triggers can be used to start something really great. Both can be used in your favor. Use them. Thanks for watching, and please hit that subscribe button. I love showing you things that are going to help you up your level, up your game, and just improve your life.